Hang on, I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee. If I get cut off or they don't show this video on my profile, you know I'm right. And who's watching and who's not going to be happy that I'm making this video. But, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm pissing a lot of people off at the moment, but I'm collecting souls. So, you know, I got to do what I got to do. I does what I got to does. So, you know this heat wave, how in parts of Europe and America and the United Kingdom, everyone is freaking out about this heat wave. Firstly, they're all being very dramatic. Secondly, they're also lying about the temperatures. It's not as hot. It's not 40 degrees. It's not 38 degrees. It's not registering anything like that in reality. So they're fudging the numbers, right? But do you remember in the Quantum Menace, the Battle of Two Worlds, how I've explained that with everything that's going on in the world, how I said the universe is in two bubbles inside itself, and depending on how we act and react and think and say and do, depends on the fluctuation between the two worlds, the two universes, the dark matter, the light matter, the darkness, the light, the good, the bad, the ascending, the descending, right? And it fluctuates. I'm trying not to burp, sorry. Just had my breakfast. Do you remember when I was first talking about the Archimedes bow, and I explained about how Archimedes, the story of Archimedes, about how he used the sun to reflect off the mirrors that the soldiers were holding up, so that they would bounce off the mirrors to hit the boats, and they'd angle the mirrors, the reflective surfaces rather, to I think they were shields or something, I don't know, but he used the sun to bounce the sun off the reflective surfaces to hit the boat, so that the boats in the water would catch on fire. And I call it Archimedes' bow. But remember, I also said, like when I was talking about the convex linear reversion, when I was coming up with a name with it, before that I would call it Archimedes' bow. What you send out comes back 10 times worse, basically. When I started talking about the Noah's Ark project and Elon Musk firing stuff at SpaceX, and people saying, oh my God, it's a rocket. Remember when he did that thing where he sent the rocket up and then it came back down and nestled back in its little nesting thing, and people were like, oh my God, this is just like he wasn't the first one to do that, by the way. That wasn't his invention or anything like that. But I saw it and I said, oh my God, he's building missiles. And then I did investigations and started linking SpaceX and Starlink to radiation issues with the sun. And then it turned out that him and Bill Gates were firing things into the sun, and it was reported that the sun had cracked. And then there was radiation satellite issues over Moscow, and they were trying to say that Moscow was going to be having some big sun flare thing that was going to interfere with like their satellites and their TVs and the internet and all that sort of thing. And I said, they're practicing. And I said, this is why they're putting all these solar panels around the farms and that, because they're going to use his space lasers like an Archimedes bow, where they fire the sun down at the solar panels so that the solar panels heat up and cause droughts and extreme weather temperatures and kill off farmland. But it's all been done on purpose. You're seeing it happen now with these quote unquote heat waves. It's not natural. It's not the sun doing it. They're using, that's why people like Ed Miliband and the EU and that have insisted that solar panels go up everywhere on everything for everything, and then they can say, look, see, it's climate change, but it's not climate change, it's climate control because of the solar panels, because of Musk's interference using space lasers and what they're doing to the sun. It's all to fake droughts and climate change and what are they calling it? El Nino. It's because they're using what I call Archimedes' bow to bounce it off all the solar panels. And if you're in the UK and America and parts of the EU, they've covered a lot of land with these solar panels. And you'll find that the places that have the highest temperatures are the places that have the highest density of these solar panels, both commercial and private. And that's what I said, like in, was it 2024? And I put up proof that they had fired missiles into the sun and cracked the sun, because people were trying to say that it was, what's that flying into the sun? Oh my God, it's like this and it's that, and there's sun flares and it's aliens and that. And I said, no, it's not. It's Elon Musk and Bill Gates. And I put up all the evidence. But by that point, Elon Musk was starting to put a stranglehold on my ex. But it is all up in other parts of my social media. And then I just sat and waited, because I thought at some point they're going to try and put on some big epic heatwave event that causes, look at the droughts and all of that, but it's all done on purpose. Just like the earthquakes in Venezuela. Because remember I said whenever Trump and Musk and that get humiliated in public, there's some sort of plane crash or natural disaster. I called it. I said it. And now I'm right. So they're basically using the solar panels like giant magnifying glasses. So, along with the radiation poisoning coming from Chernobyl, it's not looking good for people in Europe and Asia. So I'm just saying, I was right. And they need to be stopped. And now you can see why I kept saying they end up at The Hague and some of them end up getting the death penalty. We're in basically giant gas chambers. I said open air concentration camps was the word I used. But they forgot about God, and they forgot I was watching and documenting everything. And I just found the notes from 2020, I think it was, mentioning Donald Trump inciting the Insurrection Act and how he was calling to stage a coup. Remember, he said it wasn't me. And he's trying to get that slush fund for the Proud Boys. Because basically he'd said, this is what I'm going to do. When you do it, yeah, you might go to jail. But I'll pardon you and get you out, and then I'll pay you off through this lawsuit slush fund thing. I just found it completely by accident. And the original is up on the Instagram they took down. Well, they said they were taking it down, but it was deactivated because I refused to scan my face in order to have access to my own account. So I just let it go. But I still kept the notes from my original Instagram because I was writing the notes down, taking screenshots and then posting them. Originally, that's how I started my Insta. So I found the notes. So the heat waves aren't real. The earthquakes aren't real. It's all part of Project Noah's Ark. And with Musk's space lasers, because, he sends rockets up constantly. Like every other day he's sending something up. And every other day after that, something happens on Earth. And Ashley talks about his space lasers and that he can do a lot with those space lasers. And if there are solar panels anywhere, along with those data centres, it's causing droughts and heat waves. And yeah, so I was right. And it's all documented from 2 years ago. And then our king walks in, oh, climate change. And it's like, no, Your Majesty, no. You've invested probably millions into climate genocide and the destruction of the planet under the guise of climate change and net zero. And I was right. They actually tried to pull it off. They're trying to pull it off right now. And all the countries that are pro solar panels and pro space lasers. Donald Trump goes on about how climate change is fake and all that, and it is. He is right, but he's pretending like he's not in league with Bill Gates and SpaceX and that when it comes to destroying farmland, creating the floods. All the floods in America are all on purpose, the tornadoes, all on purpose. You have to remember that Jeff Bezos, DARP, that was his grandfather that invented that. They use HARP, and also Nikola Tesla was the one that invented the weather machines. So they've been doing this for a long time, guys. Blaming climate change and El Nino and that, but it's all Project Noah's Ark. Let's see if they let me put this up, eh? If they don't, then I was right. So I'm just letting you know. I'll speak to you later.